Okay, so where we last left off, the sequence of battle was witch first, and then the suit, and then the pumpkin. So what happens is there is a variable that when it's set to 1, she goes, set to 2, she goes, set to 3, it goes. When each take their turn, there's a variable that declares how much damage is going to be done. And the damage is then, that variable that is subtracted from the corresponding enemy's hit points, which is another variable. So basically you just have to reverse that. When the enemy attacks, you need to have a variable saying how much damage it will do, and you need to have that number subtracted from the variables representing their HP. So the script might be in different order at the top here because it's been a few weeks since I'd made any, so these might be rearranged a bit, but the code should be identical. There shouldn't be any changes. So, with the enemy, battle flow which turn equals 3. That's what I was just saying. If which turn is equal to 3, then the pumpkin attacks. Here's a rigid body applying the velocity, and it's moving in a negative x direction. Here's the coroutine that says to come down here and do this, and then battle turn changes back to 1. That way is then the witch's turn, and now you have a cycle. So that means here in somewhere either in here or here, we really need to have the damage be done to the player. So let's look to see how we're going to do that. So this is a script that defines the enemy, that gives functionality to the enemy. So we gave them hit points, but we didn't give them any damage. So let's just add a new variable. So public float enemy, let's call it enemy attack power, enemy attack ATTPOW. Because when you get right down to it, the final damage amount could be a function of several things. Maybe the player's defense, or maybe a buff on the enemy. There could be a lot of things that make damage. Maybe there's a luck element too, random critical battles. So you want to be careful about declaring something as enemy damage, because as you build on this and you start adding more variables, something that you declared as enemy damage may become less and less true. So you want to be as precise as possible. That way, as this scales out, you don't have to go back and start renaming things. So we'll call this attack power. So it's a base attack power, we'll say, is 20. Completely random number. Absolutely nothing about it special other than that I don't want it to be a one hit and kill it right away. So the witch is 50. The suit is 100. So I know that minus 20 will not instantly kill them. Okay, now, since this is not a static variable, okay, that means no other object will be aware of this value, of this variable, other than this object, this specific object that this script is attached to. So that means if we're going to do a calculation, we have to do it in here. Okay, so this we said is when the enemy attacks, but you really don't want the damage to appear too quickly. So what you can do is you can put it somewhere in here. So as we said, this moves the script down to here. It says, okay, come down here and start doing this. So after 1.2 seconds have passed, something is going to happen. So let's have the damage occur then. Now, for now, rather than randomizing which enemy is going to be attacked, we're just going to always have the enemy attack the witch to begin with. And we'll just start with that. Again, this is an iterative process. You do one step at a time. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with like the randomization statements and things like that. So we'll start with it being a fixed attack, always attacking the witch. So what are we going to do? So we go back to enemy con. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that witch's variable, so witch HP. So witch con, so that's the name of the script that that variable gets declared in. dot which HP minus equals, in other words, take the current value, whatever it's equal to, and minus from it whatever follows those two symbols. And what we're minusing out will be enemy attack power. So now what we need to do, technically that's going to work, but there's no displaying on the screen yet. Like we don't see, I don't believe we added the really the user interface yet. Like you're not seeing health bars and things like that. So we'll just test this for the moment. So what we're going to do is in here we'll do debug.log, and I'm a strong advocate of this, that whenever you add new functionality, particularly something that changes a variable, drop that variable into the debug log just to make sure it's working. So debug.log, we'll put quotes, which HP, if I could spell, and it's in quotes, so it's not the actual variable over here that I'm using. I'm just saying, okay, print out this message, and then plus, and now we are going to do whichcon dot which HP, and let's just put a space in there so it's easier to read, and we'll save it. So what should happen is when the pumpkin attacks, damage will be done to the witch, and this variable will get reduced by that much. Actually, remembered we have to make a change. This right now is 100 hit points combined. They do more than 100 hit points. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and make this 200. So we're going to make the enemy HP 200. And you can see down here, here's the new variable I created. Sorry about that little stumble. So hit the 1 key, 80 points of damage is done. Hit the 1 key, 40 points of damage is done. So they hit. See down here, which HP 30? It successfully decreased HP. So it's not displayed on the screen yet, but now you are indeed modifying the witch's HP by that amount. So the next thing you want to do is you want to be able to have a player get killed too. Again, we'll base it just on the witch right now so we don't get too complicated. So let's go to the WitchCon, and what we're going to do is in the update section outside of, so in update but not inside of the if statement, we're simply going to check to see if the witch is still alive. So if witch HP, and I don't have to declare the script because I'm doing this within the script that this variable is declared. I mean, best practice, you might want to include it just so you're always including it, but since the variable is here, I don't have to say where to look for the variable. So if which HP is less than, let's say 1 point, pretty sure I can do this without an equal sign. So I'm just a little bit rusty. Like I said, it's been a few weeks since I've done this, and like anything else, if you don't use it on a regular basis, you get a little bit, a little rusty at it. So if which HP is less than 1, then destroy game object, just like we did. Sorry for jumping around. In the enemy, if enemy HP. Tell you what, for consistency, I'm going to do it the same way. Just so you're not seeing this written out different ways in different scripts, we'll use the same scoring convention. So if it's less than or equal to 0, then destroy the game object. Now, that creates a problem, because if the object is destroyed, okay, when it becomes the witch's turn again, you're not going to be able to proceed. So what you would need to do is you need to automatically have it go, and when I say it, I mean the battle flow, so witch turn. when this is number 1, the which goes. Well, you need to automatically have it change. So now that means we need to check, we need a way of making sure this gets changed, which means we need a new variable. So what we can do is we can just add a new status. And you may find yourself using this for a lot of things. So what we're going to do is for now, I'm not going to put it in. We're going to put it in battle flow. That way it's available. Well, here's the thing. If you declare the variable here in which, and which gets destroyed, I don't want there being a risk of the variable no longer being accessible. So in battle flow, public static string, and it's going to be which status. So like I was saying, we're going to make this a string because you might come up with all different statuses. Like this status is going to be that they're dead, they've been defeated. Another status might be stunned. Another status might be paralyzed. So again, don't box yourself in by being too specific with the naming. You want it to be representative, but you also want it to be able to scale over time. So which status? So which status will be start as, we'll just do okay. And save that. All right, so we go back to which. So before it gets destroyed, if which HP is set to 0, then battle flow dot which status equals, we'll just put in dead. So which status is set to dead. So now the one last thing we have to do is when this gets set to 1, okay, we need to automatically have it change to 2. So I believe we can again do this in battle flow. So in the update section, and since battle flow, or rather should I say, since which turn is defined here in battle flow, I don't need to put in, I don't need to append, or preface, I should say. I don't need to preface this with the name of the script because I'm in that script. So if which turn equals 1, okay, now we need a second parenthesis, and in which status, and which status equals dead. So that's 2 parentheses in the front, 2 at the end. So if which turn is set to 1 and the which is dead, then we want which turn to be set to 2. In other words, you're skipping the which and you're going right to the suit. Now, if I haven't missed anything, that should do it. So 1. Actually, I think the pumpkin's going to die anyways with this attack. Okay, so what we need to do then is we're just going to increase the pumpkin's HP again. Let's make that 300. So 1, which HP is 30, 1, which HP is 10. A good example where you really need to be able to do math. Sorry, guys. Like I said, it's been a few weeks. Okay. There we go. So the witch is dead, okay? Which means it should now be their turn. And it is. See? the witch is being skipped over. So perfect, just like that. You now have the ability to have the enemy do damage to one of the players, although only one. We're going to have to put in a randomized statement so it goes between the witch and the suit. Or if you want, we can come up with kind of a aggro statement that says, okay, whoever's doing more damage, they get the aggro. Although in this case, once again, it would be the witch. So you can either randomize it or you can do an aggro statement that does a calculation to see who's being attacked. But now, so we have the ability to attack the player. The player can be defeated, and it skips the player and then goes on to the other player. So I think that's really enough for this video. I think we got a lot done. In the next statement, we'll work it out. So I might just do a randomized statement and have the enemy switch between which player is getting beaten. And at that point, that will be the basics out of the way. There's a few other things like healing, damage over time, buffs and things like that. And that you can basically expand on as much as you want. But as far as the basics of you being able to attack the enemy can attack you, defeat you, that's it. That's really the basics of a turn-based combat system, at least one where movement really isn't an issue. So I think that's it for now. Like I said, next video we'll look at both players being attacked, and then we'll also look at how to do like a combat score and how much XP did you get, did you level up, that kind of thing. All right, so I think that's it for now.